matches that not always have been punished. But now they look to punish, and they've got the opening goal. And it's a former Wolfsburg striker, Pernille Harder, who breaks the deadlock as her sensational season continues. Bayern draw first blood in the top spiel. A crucial goal perhaps in the Meisterschale mix. But after Wolfsburg's opening gambit, Bayern have come on strong. Lovely dovetailing run there between Harder and Bühl. And in the end, for a striker of her qualities, a relatively simple finish for Pernille Harder. 10th goal of the season in the Frauen Bundesliga. And she marks that milestone moment of the 50th appearance for Bayern with her 29th goal in club colours. It was Wolfsburg who struck early, back on match day 6 today. It's Bayern with an early opener. The chance to go 6 points clear of the She-Wolves. With less than a quarter of an hour on the clock. Significant step towards success taken. Now she might score the goals, but Harder chips in defensively as well. Sydney Lawman goes at Alex Popp for the challenge on Eriksson. Claudius just calming her down. Those two former Germany international teammates now that Popp has hung up her boots. Well, Popp feels that she's been on the receiving end of a couple of unnecessary fouls, and I think it's fair to say she's now dished one out. Yellow card for both players. Lawman coming to the defence of Eriksson, who did get caught there, but the intention, I think, from Popp was clearly to try and slide in front of the Swede and not actually make contact as she tried to block the clearance, but didn't get the challenge right. She accepts the yellow card. Somewhat apologetic hand raised there by one of the legends of German women's football, who has hung up her international boots but still going strong at club level for Tommy Stroth. Believes that there's still more to come from this Wolfsburg side, who want to remain competitive both at a national and international level, in the words of Alex Popp. Factors coming into today's game. There were some fighting words out of the Wolfsburg camp. Popp was one of them. In an interview with Kicker, talked about Bayern not being, in her opinion, as defensively sound as they were last season, and she does have statistics to back that up, given the fact that Bayern have already conceded more goals this season than they did in the entirety of the previous campaign. 11 so far compared to the 7 of last season. But then again, those were ridiculous standards to set at the highest level. They've also dropped more points. 7 compared to 6 than they did all of last season, Bayern. But right now, they're 1-0 up, and they were already in the box seat for this season's title race coming into today's game, and Pernille Harder has now put them in an even better position as Alara just brushing herself down after taking a ball to the face. It's been a bruising experience so far for some of the Bayern players. Mahmutovic and Glodis clashing whilst trying to defend a set piece, and now Alara, the latest to be prone on the pitch. Her contract extension till 2027, and it was her cross turned home by Harder. A player that Alexander Strauss believes is still underestimated, but I'm not sure I agree. Because this season, she is playing a starring role. Not that that comes as any surprise, given her talents, given her qualities. Talents and qualities that have been proven over many a season. She has won a title of some sort for 9 straight campaigns, Pernille Harder. Started with Linköping, then the 3 years with Wolfsburg, couple of seasons with Chelsea, and then with Bayern in the previous campaign. She describes herself as a free spirit. I might go as far as calling her a free scoring spirit. Ten goals in 17 appearances in the league. 6 and 6 in the Women's Champions League as well. These two sides representing the Frauen Bundesliga in the knockout stages. Bayern up against record title holders Olympique Lyon. Wolfsburg taking on Barcelona, and we'll talk about big names, and few come bigger in German football than Lothar Matthäus. There, Giovanni Elber as well. Herbert Heiner, the Bayern club president. Interested onlookers tonight, and will be pleased with what they've seen so far. Lothar Matthäus, record appearance maker for the German men's national team. Giovanni Elber, a legendary striker in his own right, the Brazilian, who had some wonderful years with Bayern. I can tell you, Lena Oberdorf is missing in action, but she is in attendance today. Something tells me we might get a shot of her a little bit later on. Speaking of the Women's Champions League, this, for Bayern at least, is the start of a run of very difficult fixtures. Described on the club's website as 5 huge matches in 17 days. Now it counts, was the headline. Starts with this top spiel on Friday evening with huge title race implications. The doubleheader against Lyon, sandwiched either side of the DFB Pokal der Frauen semi-final against Hoffenheim, which will be played here at the Bayern campus as well. Bayern with their sights set on reaching the final once again, and they will be mightily relieved perhaps that they don't have to face Wolfsburg there, because Hoffenheim, their semi-final opponents, did them a massive favour by knocking Wolfsburg out in the quarter-finals. And the reason I describe it that way, and I'll hold the thought here because Alara's found space in the Wolfsburg box. Plenty of burgundy shirts in the middle to aim for. This time her cross not quite as dangerous. Hoffenheim doing Bayern a massive favour in the DFB Pokal in knocking Wolfsburg out, ending their 52-game winning streak. They'd won 10 titles in a row, the latest secured last season at Bayern's expense in the cathedral city of Cologne. But Bayern will be considered favourites for that title. Beat Hoffenheim in the semi-finals, and either second-tier Hamburg or Werder Bremen, a mid-table side from the Frauen Bundesliga, await in the final. And if they can combine it with the Frauen Bundesliga title for a third straight season, it would go down as the club's first ever domestic double. A piece of history they've been chasing in recent years. Alexander Strauss has delivered back-to-back Frauen Bundesliga titles. Admittedly, Lena Oberdorf has even been talking about winning the treble. And I think it's fair to say Strauss, his staff, fellow Bayern players, none of them getting ahead of themselves just yet in that regard. I think Lena Oberdorf can afford to, given the fact that she's not in the thick of the action right now. Those travelling Wolfsburg fans who have made the long trip from the north of Germany, the Autostadt. Very little to cheer about so far. Wolfsburg with a bright start that got snuffed out by Bayern. Now a chance from the set piece here. Hoot or Lynn Wilms to take. It's left to Wilms. Pop with a head to the ball, but that was always rising. Neat combination play from Bayern. Harder then drives forward to find Quinn. Bayern's only loss this season, added to them by Wolfsburg. Back on match day 6. Otherwise, the only teams they've dropped points against, Eintracht Frankfurt and Freiburg. Wolfsburg with just 2 defeats to their name in the current campaign, both suffered on foreign soil. Both coming against fellow members of the top 4, Eintracht Frankfurt and Leverkusen. Two results that have proven costly in their own title ambitions, but then that has been the beauty of this title race. Everyone's dropped points somewhere along the lines. Wolfsburg and Frankfurt both taking a win off of each other. Frankfurt winning 3-0 in the first half of the season. It was just before the international break that Wolfsburg produced a statement performance in a 6-1 win against the Seagulls that knocked them off top spot because Bayern capitalised on the defeat to claim the summit. But admittedly, there is not a hint of that performance from the 6-1 win from Wolfsburg here today so far. Bayern, I won't go as far as saying they're in complete control, but they've established a pretty firm grip on this game so far. The game is being played their way. Alexander Strauss talked about them being true to their principles, and that's exactly what they're doing. Lynn Wilms tangling with Caroline Simon there. Alexander Strauss not alone in the opinion that she should be considered for the German women's national team once again, because she's having a stellar campaign. Katharina Naschenweng out injured from the start of the season due to an ongoing knee issue, and Simon has, as a result, perhaps played more games than she might have anticipated in the current campaign. She has once again proved the quality that she has over the course of a stellar career. I'm sure Tommy Strauch will have wanted his side to test Ina Mahmutovic a little bit more in the Bayern goal. She's a very talented young keeper. She's not flawless yet, though. And she's not quite at the level of Marla Gross, who is on the bench today. Has made a competitive return with Bayern's reserve side, but not yet thrust into action for the senior side just yet. On the back of her malignant tumour diagnosis and subsequent recovery. She was back in training in January, and in fact is one of the main features of the first episode of Bayern's new documentary. It's the second season of the more than 90 minutes documentary that follows this Bayern side. Pop with the cross, Brand in the middle. Eula Brand weaves a way through, and Mahmutovic, brilliant save. Thrusts out a foot to deny Eula Brand an equaliser on the cusp of the half-hour mark here. We haven't seen much from Wolfsburg in an attacking sense, but they came to life there. Pop found Brand. And that shot looked destined for the bottom corner, were it not for Ina Mahmutovic. Something to stoke the Wolfsburg fires, though. Now the set piece. Clearance not quite completed. Brand wants it round the corner, but it goes to Wilms instead. Magdalena Eriksson with a no-nonsense header to deal with the danger. Svenja Hoot. Brandt on the turn. Eula Brandt dropping the shoulder. Oh, that looked really dangerous, but somehow Mahmutovic deals with it relatively comfortably. That ball could have fallen to anyone or anywhere in the box after Brandt's deflected effort. But perhaps right now we're seeing one of those classic lulls that Alexander Strauss, the Bayern head coach, talked about his side suffering this season. He warned that they couldn't afford to do that today because Wolfsburg are the type of team that will punish them where maybe others haven't. Thanks to Mahmutovic. The lead still intact. And so, right now, it is as tight as everyone predicted it would be here at the Bayern campus. Bayern chasing the three-peat for the first time in club history. Speaking of club history as well, if Bayern do win here today, it would be a third straight home win against Wolfsburg, something they've never achieved previously. It was a 1-0 win back in March of 2023. It was a 2-1 win in the first half of the season in the previous campaign. And now a goal to the good, thanks to Pernille Harder, as the former Wolfsburg striker again comes back to haunt her former club. Claudius again with a strong challenge, but a fair one in the eyes of our referee, Fabiana Michel. Second time this season she's taken charge of a game between Bayern and Wolfsburg, the other being the inaugural Super Cup at the start of the season, won by Bayern. In that challenge with Glodis, Popper's come off second best. It's not just the Bayern players going through a bruising experience. Tommy Stroot admitted before this game that he felt Bayern weren't as dominant as he expected them to be. Back on matchday 6 before the first meeting this season, he highlighted Bayern as being the clear favourites for the title. Trying to take some pressure off of his players perhaps, but also a few mind games at play. And in this dominant duopoly that has formed in the Frauen Bundesliga, these two sides sharing the last 12 titles between them, Bayern want to underline the fact that they feel like they are changing the guard, that they are now the foremost team in German women's football, that they are the standard setters that Wolfsburg have been for so long. Got a great fan base behind them, and they really are growing quite organically as a team, which is going to be so key for long-term success. Are they amongst the elite the way Wolfsburg were at their peak? Perhaps not yet, Bayern, but they're on their way. And all it takes right now would perhaps be a deeper run in the Women's Champions League to really see them considered amongst the elite. Two women with the warrior spirit, I think it's fair to say. Alex Popp and Glodis. Just in case you're wondering why we shortened to her first name, that's how it's done in Iceland, where last names are patronymic by nature, meaning that the last name for Glodis Vigosdottir means the daughter of Vigos in her case. And as a result, in Iceland, it's more common to shorten to the first name and not the last name. Good press there from Bayern. Unfortunately, the pass that followed from Alara didn't quite follow. Enderman is now on the run. In behind Caroline Simon, looking for Berenstein but not finding her. Those perhaps the qualities that Tommy Stroot was talking about when referencing why he decided to bring Vivian Enderman into his starting lineup. Svendis Jane dropping to the bench. Saw Wolfsburg shuffle their pack with Jule Brand moving to left wing back, Lynette Berenstein moving to the left wing. Now here she is popping up on the right and getting the shot off, but straight at Mahmutovic. Now she was the former Bayern player that came back to haunt her former side back on matchday 6, scoring the second goal of that 2-0 win. Wolfsburg ending Bayern's 3-game winning streak in this particular head-to-head, at least in the Frauen Bundesliga, because lest we forget, Wolfsburg did pick up a pretty significant 5-0 win here at the Bayern campus in the DFB Pokal der Frauen semi-finals back in April of 2023. That was Wolfsburg's last win here at the campus. Their last win in the Frauen Bundesliga dates back to November of 2021, and incidentally that was also the last defeat that Bayern suffered here on home soil. They've gone unbeaten in 36 games since, dropping points just twice and picking up 34 wins in the process. Having had their Frauen Bundesliga record 44-game unbeaten streak broken by Wolfsburg back on matchday 6, they won't want their home streak to suffer the same fate. Dijkstra. Oh, again looking for Berenstein, and well, this time Mahmutovic claims really well, and it's Berenstein who's gotten the full brunt of contact. The first player to be on the receiving end was Gloris, the Bayern captain, who as a result was all bandaged up. Mahmutovic is not a goalkeeper to be messed with in the air, my goodness. It was a teasing delivery. She's got to come and claim. And again, commanding goalkeeper. You've actually really got to credit the young shot stopper there for imposing herself. It's exactly what she's got to do as a goalkeeper. She did it against her captain earlier, and now Berenstein, the latest to feel the effects of a heavy clash and fall. I mean, this game hasn't been ill-willed at all. But some of these players are going to really be feeling the effects of this game tomorrow. Some more than others. It might not just be sore muscles. And Mahmutovic gets the high five from Gloris, who probably says, well done for not being deterred in that moment, given what happened between us earlier in this game. Because it really could have played in the mind of Mahmutovic not to come for that ball, given the clash with her captain. But clearly, this move to Bayern is seeing Mahmutovic really take further steps in her development as a top-level goalkeeper. The big area she needs to continue to improve is work with the ball at her feet, like now. Decision-making and distribution, both areas where she has proven vulnerable in the past. But her outlet has now worked its way all the way to Clara Bühl. Cross blocked by Janina Minge. Clara Bühl, such a brilliant player. And it has to be said, it's a huge win for Bayern to retain her services. Contract extension to 2027, but at the same time, it's a huge win for the Frauen Bundesliga that Clara Bühl has decided to continue plying her trade in Germany. Her counterpart, Jule Brand, is unlikely to do the same. But Bühl's corner now headed clear by Pop. Out for a throw-in on that far side. There is Jule Brand. Has decided not to sign a contract extension in Wolfsburg. Same goes for goalkeeper Merle Forms, who has now lost her spot as the undisputed number 1 to Annika Borber. Right now we don't know the concrete destination for Jule Brand. Lots of big clubs have been linked with her services. And if you look at the reports coming out of Germany, the most likely destination right now seems to be Bayern's Champions League opponents, Olympique Lyon. Damjanovic, oh, she's done well to turn. I think she has a strong case that maybe Fabienne Michel could have pointed to the spot there. Because for me, she had the beating of the Wolfsburg defenders, who were a little clumsy in their handling of the Serbian striker. But in a game of such high stakes, really need to see a penalty decision that is completely undebatable, and that certainly was not. Wolfsburg not looking as sharp as they did in the victory against Bayern earlier this season, not looking as sharp as they did in the 6-1 win against Eintracht Frankfurt from before the international break. The difference is, tonight they're not on home soil. And now Bayern have won the ball well. Bühl feeding the run of Pernilla Harder. So many players in the middle to aim for. Simon is one of them. Cut back to Bull! And it's a swing and a miss, but the chance still alive. Harder. Pernilla Harder wanted to go it alone, but needed to get the shot off earlier if she was going to do that. Now Berenstein puts pressure on Glodis, who unsurprisingly handles it in a very classy manner. She is a very classy defender. One of the Rolls-Royce varieties where never seems to be flustered, always smooth and composed in dealing with any danger. Tobias talked about his side building on that performance against Frankfurt. Described this as a top game that's going to be decided by details, courage and decision-making, in his opinion. Right now the fine margins working in favour of Bayern. Wolfsburg trying to show courage, but regularly being thwarted by the women in Burgundy. Decision-making not always the best so far from the visitors. Bayern not perfect in that regard either, as Bull clips in a cross that goes too long, but Gwyn finds Harder now. Harder floats in across, and Lindholm's under no pressure, doesn't get the call and concedes a corner, but she didn't really need to. Here we see the chance. Simon unselfish. Clara Bull with a rare whiff at the ball there. 7 minutes of time added on at the end of this first half, predominantly for the clashes involving Ina Mahmutovic. As now Eriksson with the header that flashes just wide. In a clash between two best teams in German women's football, you can never really turn your nose up at an extra 7 minutes of action. Oh, Brandt going the wrong direction. Concedes possession to Harder, who's got Linda for company. Just about keeps the ball in play, but Linda does well to win it for Wolfsburg. No chance on the counter there. Tommy Schroth's side. At 1-0 down, certainly all not lost for Wolfsburg, and Tommy Schroth, I'm sure that will be a message to his players during the break. Goes back to Borba. Hasn't been particularly busy, the Wolfsburg goalkeeper, but the harsh lesson to learn in games like this is that you might not be called upon often between the sticks, but when you're called upon, you have to be there. Borba wasn't. When Harder popped up with a back post tap-in, at the other end, Mahmutovic was to deny Jule Brandt. Those are the best two chances of the game for either side. Bayern found the clinical touch that Wolfsburg couldn't. And Wolfsburg will have known but they were going to have to be clinical tonight. Maybe now, because Enderman's got room to manoeuvre, and the ball to Pop was the right idea, but not accurate enough. Just for a moment there, Bayern's backline opened up a little bit, and Wolfsburg unable to make it pay. An equaliser before half-time would come somewhat against the run of play. Mahmutovic with a bit of a puffy upper lip there. Given her clashes with her captain Gloris and Linnet Berenstein. Those two incidents, the reason we've had 7 minutes added on at the end of this first half. Brand, lovely turn of pace. Berenstein to the byline and cross blocked by Alara. Now though, the chance. Pop had time and space to pick out her cross. Truth be told, Wolfsburg want her on the end of deliveries, not being the deliverer. And that's really where Wolfsburg haven't quite been able to tap into their full array of talents. The final ball has been lacking so far, even from set-piece situations, where they are a threat, given the fact that they have 16 goals from dead ball moments in the current campaign, which is the most in the Frauen Bundesliga. Alexander Strauss's side second in that regard with 14. Claudius with another important header at the back. Lawman, oh, cheeky nutmeg. Just to evade the challenger Pop, who bites back and bites back well. Frustrated that there was no support in the midfield press after she had done well to capitalise on Lawman just holding on to possession a fraction too long, which he did again there, but rescued by the assistance flag on this near side. It gives the throw in Bayern's favour. I mean, if that's not 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. Because Damjanovic was just as much holding on as she was being held. She was drafted into the starting lineup to provide a bit more physicality. Former Wolfsburg player with 102 appearances. Well, as entertaining and evenly matched as advertised in the most significant showdown of the Frauen Bundesliga season so far. Meister against Rekordmeister, and it's Bayern who have a precious 1-goal lead at the break, courtesy of former Wolfsburg striker Pernille Harder's opener. Bavarians looking to go 6 points clear of their title rivals And they're 45 minutes removed from starting to put some fingertips back on the Meisterschale. At the break, here at the Bayern campus, it is Bayern 1, Wolfsburg 0. chance to go 6 points clear of Tommy Straut and co. For them, the chance to move level on points with the league leaders and blow this wonderful title race wide open once again. With the tension brewing as we get ready for the start of the second half. Lynette Berenstein, one of the goal scorers in the earlier meeting between these two sides this season. Hasn't had a lot to work with in front of goal tonight. And Pernille Harder, with her opener, has moved level on 10 goals with the Wolfsburg top goal scorer. Of course, both of those players, though, still trailing Frankfurt's Laura Freigang. Three high-quality strikers at the top of the Frauen Bundesliga goal-scoring charts. But it's Pernille Harder who's got the goal tonight to move on to double digits. A woman who talks about wanting to win titles, playing for titles, and she might have scored a pivotal one in helping Bayern secure another title this season. They're looking for the three-peat, Bayern, and if they hold on to a 1-0 lead, or maybe even increase it here tonight, they will be taking a significant step towards winning the Meisterschale for a third season running. The woman on the ball now, Pernille Harder, with the only goal of the game so far. A lovely, simple back post tap-in after Alara's teasing delivery broke through to the back post. Harder was never going to miss from there. Bayern a goal to the good, and now Alara looking to add to her earlier assist with an effort of her own. But already with 42 seconds on the clock of this second half, a little bit more zip to Bayern's attacking play. Lara had everyone guessing as to what she was going to do next there in the box. No one wanted to make a challenge and risk conceding a penalty. Lara, just 18 years old, an incredible calendar year in 2024, making her breakthrough with the Bayern first team, turning 18, then made her German international debut with a 28-minute performance off the bench in a 6-0 win against Switzerland. Was recently called up by Christian Wuck after a few injuries to his senior squad. She was representing the under-23s. But now Harder with a chance to make it 2-0. It's a bread and butter finish for Pernille Harder as she bags her brace. She said she came to Bayern to play for titles, and she might just have scored two pivotal goals in securing them a third straight Meisterschale. As she comes back to haunt her former side. Damjanovic with all the hard running down the wing. And how Caitlin Dijkstra can let Harder out of her sights that way is beyond me. Pernille Harder, one of the best in the game, one of the most prolific strikers in the current season. And that, if we're honest, was far too easy. And now in this top spiel, with high stakes, Bayern, 2 goals to the good. Looking to exact their revenge for the 2-0 defeat suffered to Wolfsburg early this season. And after this strong start to the second half, they are rewarded with the second goal. Harder now on 11. Joining Berenstein, the Wolfsburg top goal scorer, on that tally. Just one behind Laura Freigang now, who of course will be in action later this weekend with Eintracht Frankfurt. And they close the show on Monday night on foreign soil against Freiburg. Lena Latvine! Well, hits what they call in Germany the Latte. which is the crossbar. Maybe that's what Wolfsburg need, just to chance their arm every now and again. Mahmutovic probably had it covered. But at 2-0 down, Wolfsburg genuinely now have nothing to lose. And they can throw caution to the wind, get a goal back, and it could just unnerve this Bayern side. But they've got to do more to make life difficult for the host tonight, because they established a grip on the game in the first half, relinquished it a fraction as we approached half-time. But at the start of this second half, it has been re-established with real vigour by Bayern, and aided, of course, by the fact that they have now got a 2-goal cushion. Giovanni Elba, a legendary striker in his own right, who I'm sure will have appreciated both the finishes from Pernilla Harder, which look simple, but it's the movement of the ball that is so crucial, and ultimately what makes her such a dangerous player. To be honest, I still can't believe that Dijkstra was so far removed. There was absolutely no connection between defender and striker there. And as a result, Harder just dropped the shoulder. Dijkstra completely lost sight of her. And in the end, she's wide open to make it 2-0. Lena Latvine now going to be the latest player to go into the referee's book. Damjanovic, a very physical player. Doesn't mean that you can rugby tackle her to ground, though. A third player tonight bloodied up by proceedings. Glodis and Ina Mahmutovic being the first two. Now Lena Latvine with a little cut above the eyebrow. Saw Tuva Hansen there on the Bayern bench getting ready to come on, which suggests that the second goal has allowed Alexander Strauss to feel a little bit more comfortable. There have been plenty of games this season where he and his players have lamented the fact that they've made games more nervy than they need to be by not putting them beyond reach. But if Wolfsburg produce a statement win on match day 6, Bayern looking to do the same here tonight. Damjanovic looking for that second chance opportunity for home side. Comes to nothing though for Clara Boone. Simon with an important header. Pass goes astray there. And I think we're now going to have that change for Bayern, and it is going to be the captain, Glodis, who makes way. Bandaged up. Was a doubt before the game with the knee complaints. Commanding performance at the back and dealing with the threat level that Alex Pop poses. Strauss just checking in on his captain, but a wonderful replacement in the form of Tuva Hansen, who has really stepped up this season in a variety of roles. He's played every single position in that back four for Bayern at some point in the current campaign, because while Linda Zembrand, Magdalena Eriksson, and even Glodis herself have had little injury issues throughout the campaign, Tuva Hansen has been an ever-reliable member of the starting lineup. And Satoshil gets booked. Swing and a miss at the ball and took out a chunk of pop. Fabiana Michel. Not pulling her punches with the bookings either. Wolfsburg need an avenue back into this game. Open play is not providing it so far. And that ball for Berenstein. Too high. Didn't have her most prolific spell with Bayern between 2017 and 2022. Linnet Berenstein, 129 appearances, just 24 goals scored. Better output with Juventus, and then Wolfsburg so far, 13 goals in now 27 appearances, so just under 1 every 2 games. In the Frauen Bundesliga in particular, she's been free scoring 11 in 16, with 10 in her last 12 matches as well. So she was in fine form, but you wouldn't know it based on the way she's been kept out of this game by Bayern. Wolfsburg down to 10 women, but now back to 11 as Latveien re-enters the fray. Bayern, though, looking for a third goal here. Santorzil felt she was fouled by Berenstein, but Fabienne Michel did not agree, the referee. Both sides, in many regards, playing to their limits, because no inches are being given here. The press being applied by both teams proficiently, forcing both players, or both sets of players, into making quick decisions. But that's where the quality really shows in these two star-studded lineups. Now Buhl, cross blocked. Dijkstra puts out a play for a throw-in as opposed to a corner. Harder. Just a whiff of a chance there for Pernilla Harder, but a whiff is enough for her to think about challenging. Borber in the air there. Oh, charged down by Alara there, Sarai Linda, but and winning the challenge, the ball springs clear to Annika Borber. You saw there as well Alara with just that name on the back of her shirt. Unfortunately, she's had to go through the kit change with the support of Bayern and the German Football Association due to the fact that her last name, Schiedler, was being subject to abuse and right-wing propaganda use. A shame that ultimately she has to resort to that. The fact is, her name is one that women's football fans around the world need to get familiar with. So too her talents, which are undeniable. And we've seen them on show here today. Got the assist for the first goal. She's won the ball back well in that midfield battle at times, really playing above her years, the 18-year-old. There's a reason that they've signed her to a long-term contract extension, because in the words of Sporting Director Bianca Rech, she is the future of this club. And Eriksson with the volley. No stranger to scoring goals from set-piece situations, Magdalena Eriksson. Normally, though, it's done with her head. Brandt picking up the pieces in midfield. Closed down by Alara. No foul there. Brandt rides the challenge. Fortunately, the pass to Linda doesn't come off. Broken free to Hoot. Now Pop, Latvine. Wolfsburg starting to move the ball a bit more confidently as we approach the hour mark. Cross in, flicked on by Pop to Enderman. Corner for their efforts, the visitors. Lindholm's looking to pick out a teammate. Flicked on at the near post by Janina Minga. Comfortably dealt with by Ena Mahmutovic. She produced that brilliant save to deny Jule Brandt in the first half when Bayern had already taken the lead. Ball looking for Berenstein. Hansen doesn't win out. Then at Berenstein, trying to bully her way into the box. Just wide from the former Bayern striker. Right on the hour mark, Wolfsburg go close to reducing the arrears. They've hit the bar through Lena Latvine, who's now coming off to be replaced by Ella Pedamors. Meanwhile, Alex Pop also making way to be replaced by Rebecca Blomqvist. That effort from Berenstein was a good one. Here, I think we might go through the repertoire of all the challenges that Pop's been on the end of. She was on the end of so many of them, and not always did she get the referee's whistle when she deserved it. Pernilla Harder on for a hat-trick! Oh, Damjanovic wanted to be fed, but you can understand why Harder, with 2 goals to her name already, wanted to get the third. And it would have been all of her own making. And it wasn't far wide. Neither was that effort from Linnet Berenstein. We've got 2 goals already. Just under half an hour to play. The odds are there's at least 1 more left in proceedings tonight. Then Wilms. If Wolfsburg get it soon, it could change the complexion of this game. And Wilms now with the effort. Well, she only scored 1 goal in her first 71 appearances for Wolfsburg. Since then, Lynn Wilms has scored 5 in just over 20 outings. Said she was encouraged by her father during the summer break to have more shots, and it certainly paid off. Now Lohmann bundled off the ball by Hoot. Looked like a foul in the mix, but Hoot finds Blomqvist. Beaten to the ball by Quinn, who then plays the ball off the Swede. I don't think Alexander Strauss was happy with the challenge from Svenja Hoot on Sydney Lohmann. Same regard, the 4th official not happy with the way that Strauss was talking to her. Our 4th official tonight, Karolina Vaca, one of the more experienced referees in the game. Berenstein and Enderman both giving chase there, but the Bayern back line dealing well with the danger. Well, this was a meeting of the 2 best back lines in the Frauen Bundesliga. It's fair to say one has stood firm The other has been opened up on more than one occasion, two leading to the 2 goals scored. But now Berenstein was ready to pounce. What an important piece of defensive play there from Junior Gwyn. The newly named German international captain stepping up in a big way here for Bayern. Linda wasn't quite on the same wavelength as Sven Hoot there, and Hansen goes long with the clearance, but Damjanovic trying to make something of it, and does. I mentioned the first episode of the second season of Bayern's more than 90 minutes documentary. One of the main features was Marla Gross, telling her story of her recovery from that malignant tumour and her return to training, her return to being in amongst the first team. The other player to feature heavily was Jovana Damjanovic, as the documentary followed the opening of her coffee bar and restaurant here in Munich. The 9 Fine Roastery, as it is called, which can be found in the Neuhausen-Nymphenburg region of Munich. Ultimately an idea that stemmed from her time off after a cruciate ligament injury earlier in her career, and she says she doesn't want to go through it again, but in many regards she doesn't thank what happened for the fact that it gave her this inspiration and passion to pursue not just making her own coffee, but also opening up her own shop. And given the family feel of this prestigious club, unsurprising that almost all of her teammates showed up the day before the official opening for an unofficial opening behind closed doors. Joined the club at the age of 22, Jovana Damjanovic. Hansen just trying to shadow Berenstein. Buhl offers support in that regard. Berenstein gets the ball back now. She's just allowed Bayern to recover the positions though, and as a result the lines being kept tight at the back by the home side, who I think are well aware of what 1 goal back for Wolfsburg could do to this game. The fact that it might put a bit of wind in the sails of the She-Wolves. Having to be patient in trying to fashion their chances, but, well, I was going to say in being patient, they were then reckless with their passes, but harder giving the ball away just as cheaply as Wolfsburg had. Bayern can't complete the clearance. Oh, Lara's won it well here, though. And now the break is on. It's 3-on-2 in Bayern's favour if they move the ball quickly. Ella Pedamors, though, vital challenge in that midfield battle. Berenstein clipped by Gwyn. Foul goes Wolfsburg's way. Bayern with 2 further changes ready. Strauss has seen some tired legs out there given the intensity of proceedings so far. One talented teenager replacing another. Alara coming off to be replaced by Momoko Tanikawa. Meanwhile, Leia Schuller on for Jovana Damjanovic, who was looking a little bit leggy but has done a lot of thankless running tonight. And I think Strauss appreciative of her efforts, because she brought to the table exactly what he would have wanted tonight. Because without Jovana Damjanovic, without her battling qualities, without her movement off the ball, I'm not sure Pernilla Harder would have been as open for the 2 goals that she scored. As for Momoko Tanikawa, well, just ask Eintracht Frankfurt the type of impact she can make off a bench. She was the star of the show in the DFB Pokal der Frauen quarter-final win for Bayern after extra time. Now Pernilla Harder. 2 goals to a name already. And she turns provider for the third. Leah Schuller, with a first touch of a ball off the bench, makes it 3-0 to Bayern. A huge night in the Frauen-Bundesliga title race. And it's the reigning title holders chasing a three-peat who are producing a statement victory against one of their fiercest title rivals. And what an introduction to the game for Leah Schuller, straight off the bench. And Pernilla Harder adds to her 2 goals with an assist. And just like Harder's finishes, it's relatively simple for Leah Schuller. But credit to the hard work put in to fashion the golden opportunity. Bayern are taking a big step towards winning the Meisterschale for a 3rd straight season. We're entering the business end of the campaign. And Bayern are showing their quality. Tani Kaur and Svendis Jane, and Svendis Jane quickly into the referee's book there. One of the players who does have a contract expiring in the summer, and we're yet to hear anything about her potential future. Undoubtedly, she will not be short of suitors if she does decide to leave Wolfsburg, but something tells me the club will be doing everything they can not to lose Svendis Jane along with Merle Froms and Jule Brandt. Because it's been season on season now where these massive upheavals have taken place in Wolfsburg, and it's part of the reason, while other clubs continue to go step for step in terms of a positive development, Wolfsburg have stagnated somewhat. They've stagnated at a very high level. Let's make no mistake about that. But even Alex Popp has admitted that Wolfsburg, when you're talking about Barcelona or London or even Madrid nowadays or Paris or Lyon, they're not quite as attractive a city, Wolfsburg, as some of those I just mentioned. As a result, Wolfsburg don't quite have the pulling power they once did because their domestic dominance has now been put under such threat by this Bayern side. And to be honest, if Bayern win the Frauen-Bundesliga title for a 3rd straight season, even if they don't complete the historic first ever club double, I really think it's fair to say that the guard has been changed at the pinnacle of German women's football. As Schuller almost breaks through again. Because last summer they lost Lena Oberdorf, they lost Dominic Janssen, they lost Eva Pajor. They're already set to lose Forms and Brandt in the summer coming up. But then the question has to be asked, are they doing enough to convince players to stay? A goal back now wouldn't quite have the same impact on the game as it would have at 2-0 down. Nevertheless, Berenstein rose highest. Skips off the top of her head. Svendis Jane, 1-on-1 with Pernilla Harder. Lovely cross, flicked on dangerously, and it's onto the roof of the net from Janina Minge. In a game, and a second half in particular, where Wolfsburg haven't often gone close to goal, that will be up there with their best chances of this second period, along with Lena Latvine's strike of the woodwork and Linnet Berenstein's strike that flashed just wide of the target. Vilm picks up the long ball from Mahmutovic, which went astray. Now Svendes Jane, she's got 2 for company this time and almost managed to break through. The solo mission, though, proved impossible. And again, another cheap concession of possession from Bayern. Inviting pressure, even if they are 3-0 up. I'm sure Alexander Strauss will not want them to take their foot off the pedal. And Clara Bull leads the charge now with Sulla. And Tanikawa arriving. Momoko Tanikawa. Shot blocked. Her first goal in the Frauen Bundesliga is inevitable, Momoko Tanikawa. Not delivered there as Sandrasil does well not to foul Berenstein, who's on the march. Berenstein goes it alone! Oh, that's a brilliant goal. It might simply be an act of defiance in this evening's top spiel. But take a bow, Linnet Berenstein. The former Bayern striker adds to the goal she scored in the 2-0 win early this season. In different circumstances tonight. Wolfsburg at least won't leave the Bayern campus empty-handed. But credit to Berenstein, because this goal is all of her own making. 12 goals for the season. She joins Laura Freigang at the top of the goal-scoring charts in the Frauen Bundesliga. She would have wanted to do it in different circumstances. But at 3-1, the feeling is that that goal has simply come too late for Wolfsburg. They may chance their arm, they may throw caution to the wind. Stranger things have happened in the Frauen Bundesliga than 2 goals being scored in the final quarter of an hour. Svenja Hoot, shot blocked, but second chance opportunity. Oh, Blomqvist, she probably needed to play the pass either to Svendes Jane or Berenstein. That's where decision-making makes such a difference on a night like tonight. No composure there from the Swedes, simply a quick snapshot, snatching at the chance for Tommy Stroh's side. They cannot afford to do that, but he'll be at least pleased with his side's response to falling 3-0 down. Tonight they have not been given the chance to really show off the peak of their powers, Wolfsburg, and credit to Bayern for their stifling dominance tonight. And now Lea Schuller. Wow. Borber gobbles up the cross from Lea Schuller. Admittedly, didn't really get a head up there because there was a lack of support and a lack of players to really aim that cross towards. A sign of the intensity levels that we've got Caroline Simon here, cramping up on that left wing. We get to revisit the wrestling match between Svendes Jane and Momoko Tanikawa that got the Wolfsburg winger booked. One of the easy decisions that Fabienne Michel has had to make tonight. Another angle now of the Berenstein goal. Tuva Hansen. She was trying to track. She needed help. And in the end, the guile and trickery of Linnet Berenstein combined with her pace, combined with her finishing. Too hot to handle for the Bayern backline. She was in fine goal-scoring form during the international break as well. Berenstein, scorer of both goals for the Netherlands in a 2-2 draw with Germany. Having and enjoying her most prolific season ever. Berenstein, oh, she was closest to the header. Wedemeyer can't quite keep the chance alive. Dijkstra, what a first touch that was from Dijkstra. I'll tell you what, her defending has been questionable tonight, but that first touch wasn't. Minga now attacks, but Schuller does well to beat her Germany international teammate in the air. Again, I point out Wolfsburg in the first meeting this season, they won 70% of the aerial duels. Don't think it was quite as decisive as some of the pundits made out, but tonight Bayern have certainly improved in that regard. And now we get a Sven Jane special. She's got a rocket launcher of a long throw, the Icelandic international. Dangerous. Just didn't find the purchase it needed in the Bayern box there for Wolfsburg to actually get a chance on goal. Maybe now, though. Berenstein. Flick on. Oh, Enderman. We'll get a corner for Wolfsburg. Difficult to tell how good that chance was down by the byline. The angle was certainly against Enderman. Here we see it. Wedemeyer's ball flicked on, and I'll be honest, that wasn't the cleanest of challenges from Magdalena Eriksson we've ever seen. But a corner now for Wolfsburg. Plenty of teammates to aim for Lindholms. Back post it goes. Wedemeyer. Tried to get it back into the mix, but that was maybe ill-advised, though. She's won it back from Harder, who questions the fact that her teammates weren't really on their toes there. Sven Jane's cross. And another commanding piece of goalkeeping from the young 21-year-old Ena Mahmutovic. I think the fact that she's performing so well is part of the reason that Bayern feel comfortable in not rushing Marla Gross back into action with the senior side, following her recovery from a malignant tumour. There we see a look at the statistics and just how evenly matched it has been. And you go back to the quotes from Tommy Stroll, Alexander Strauss, Bayern sporting director Bianca Rech, who all pointed that sometimes these scorelines have had a healthy margin of victory for Wolfsburg or for Bayern, but that the games are always tight and that they are determined by fine margins. And I think tonight another that lends itself to that theory. Two more changes for Bayern as Franziska Kett and Julia Zijotti enter the fray to help their side see out this game. Sydney Lawman and Caroline Simon, the players that have made way. And a loose play at the back again from Wolfsburg. Harder's in the middle. Schüller kept the ball in. I mean, I'll be honest, from the angle we're watching this, that did not look like the whole ball had crossed the line. So how the assistant lineswoman on this near side could be convinced, I don't know, but fortunately, not decisive in the grand scheme of things tonight. Strong challenge from Quinn, but it's a fair one that won the ball well. And Harder through on goal with a chance at a hat-trick. Pernilla Harder tees up Lea Schüller, and Dijkstra with a magnificent piece of last-ditch defending. I tell you what, she at fault for two of the Bayern goals this evening, Caitlin Dijkstra. She atones for some of the earlier errors there, though. It was a 2-on-1, and somehow she came out on top. Bayern fans want another goal tonight, and I'm sure the Bayern players wouldn't say no either. Clara Bühl. By Clara Bühl's standards, that was a very poor delivery, it has to be said. And then hefty coming together between Enderman and Franziska Kett. First time tonight, Fabienne Michel errs on the side of caution and doesn't just flash the yellow. If you look at the domestic dominance that this duopoly have enjoyed in the Frauen Bundesliga, 12 straight titles between them. Talk about the Rekordmeister. The Frauen Bundesliga was founded in 1973. And back then the title was still determined in a post-season tournament format. That was until 17 years later, when the Frauen Bundesliga was then split into North and South. And only since the summer of 1997 has the top women's league here in Germany had a single division. And that's why there's a little debate about who are the record title holders. Because Bergisch Gladbach would be, if you count the time when the Frauen Bundesliga was a two-division top flight. But if you go when it comes to the single-season era, Wolfsburg and 1. FC Frankfurt both have 7 titles to their name. Bayern, 1 behind them on 6. And if they make it a three-peat of title wins, then they'll join those two illustrious sides as joint record title holders in the single-division era. And that is a necessary asterisk to put next to that claim. But it'll be huge for Bayern. This is the dominance that they have been aiming for ever since they started heavily investing in the women's side. Jane, another chance to cross. They've got plenty of women forward here, Wolfsburg. They have thrown caution to win. They're leaving themselves vulnerable at the back, and now Blomqvist uses her enviable pace to get there ahead of Harder. Oh, given away, though, to Tatarsil. That has happened too often tonight from Wolfsburg's perspective. Cheap concessions of possession. It's got to be a prerequisite of any successful performance when you're on foreign soil against Bayern München. You can't be sloppy, you've got to be sharp. Given the rivalry, there is no love lost between these two sets of players, and you can understand. Lindvilm's just taking exception to the fact that Lea Schuller, instead of giving her the ball for the throw-in, threw it away and made her do a little extra work to pick up the ball. A look at the next 5 games in the Frauen Bundesliga for Bayern. Of course, they come after the doubleheader against Lyon in the Champions League, which is sandwiched either side of the semi-final in the DFB Pokal der Frauen against Hoffenheim. But the games don't get any easier after that either. Home soil, a game against Leverkusen, followed up by a trip to Frankfurt. And those 2 games, yes, Bayern are winning right now, and they're set to go 6 points clear of Wolfsburg. Frankfurt could stay within 3 points if they beat Freiburg on Monday night. And Bayern haven't wrapped up the title yet by any stretch of the imagination, because Leverkusen and Frankfurt are both capable of taking points off Bayern. Harder, player of the match tonight, without question, against her former side. 2 goals, 1 assist, but well beyond that attacking output. Leadership quality shown, battling quality shown. She's led by example, and ultimately she is the type of player that can make players around her better. And she's done that tonight, Pernilla Harder. Berenstein, Mahmutovic well off her line, botching the clearance, but Berenstein can't bag her brace. I think that's the problem for Wolfsburg, is that her goal simply came too late when the game already felt beyond reach, with Bayern 3-0 up. If it had come when they were 2-0 up and it made it 2-1 and pulled it back to just a goal deficit, I think this game could have taken on a very different complexion. Clara Bull, though, as Bayern look for the icing on their cake tonight. Capping off a wonderful week for the club. The future looks so bright in Bavaria. That's not just because of the up-and-coming rising talents of the likes of Momoko Tanikawa on the ball here, or Alara Schiedler. But this team are really turning into a title-winning machine under Alexander Strauss. They're asserting their dominance domestically. They could get their first ever domestic double in the current campaign, because never have their chances been better, with Wolfsburg knocked out of the DFB Pokal der Frauen by Hoffenheim, who will come here to the Bayern campus next weekend. And all it takes is Frankfurt maybe fluffing their lines on Monday night against Freiburg, which is well within the realms of possibility. After all, it was Bayern that dropped points in a 2-2 draw at Freiburg earlier this season. And then you can see what we were talking about before the game. If Wolfsburg could have got a positive result here, their run-in much more favourable than Bayern's, because they don't have to face Eintracht Frankfurt. Yes, they've got Leverkusen on the final day, but the calibre of opposition that Wolfsburg will be facing in their final 5 games was in stark contrast to the calibre that Bayern were going to face. And you felt if they could get a positive result here today, that might have been advantageous for the She-Wolves. Unfortunately, Bayern have not allowed them to fashion a single advantage. We got 4 minutes of time added on at the end of the top spiel, under the Friday night floodlights now, as we raise the curtain on match day 16 with the most significant showdown of the season, the biggest game of every Frauen Bundesliga calendar. One with title implications every time Wolfsburg and Bayern take to the pitch, as Enderman stings the palms of Ena Mahmutovic. Wolfsburg got a statement win on match day 6. Bayern have responded in kind here tonight. Truth be told, Bayern could have won by more. They haven't been quite as clinical since scoring their third, though. And they have invited a fair bit of pressure from Wolfsburg and not been punished for it. And while the performance over the first 75 minutes would be the type of performance that suggests they can get positive results against Olympique Lyon in the Champions League quarter-finals, the last 15 might be a little cause for concern for Alexander Strauss, because a side like Olympique Lyon will punish Bayern, as Wolfsburg found out in the group stages earlier this season when they met them twice. That first leg on home soil here at the Bayern campus will be so important in setting the tone against the Women's Champions League record title holders. But Bayern want to go to the semi-finals for a third time in club history. They did it in 2021 when they lost to Chelsea. They did it in 2019 when they lost to Barcelona, who are Wolfsburg's opponents in the quarter-final. Huge uphill battle, and again, a performance like tonight does not suggest that Wolfsburg will be able to beat Barcelona. Home or away, admittedly, because Barcelona are the standard setters in Europe. On their day, they are virtually impossible to beat. And Wolfsburg might find that out the hard way. Of course, those two have history. Back in 2022, it was Barcelona that knocked out Wolfsburg from the Women's Champions League with a 5-3 aggregate win. Wolfsburg won 2-0 on home soil, but it was after a 5-1 defeat in Barcelona at the Camp Nou. And then, of course, it was the 2023 final, which was contested between Wolfsburg and Barcelona. Wolfsburg led 2-0 at half-time in that game. And then Barcelona found another gear, and Wolfsburg didn't find a response. And they fell agonisingly short of what would have been a famous night for the club. And unfortunately, since then, the decline has continued. They've lost big-name players like they were doing before the decline started, but now they have had a bigger impact. Caroline Graham-Hansen, Pernilla Harder, Fridolina Rolfo, Ingrid Engen, all leaving the club. Jill Roord, Felicitas Rauch, Lena Oberdorf, Dominic Janssen, Eva Payo. I mean, these are top-caliber players that Wolfsburg have not been able to retain. And that is why it has opened the door for Bayern, who have kept big players and established a real core over the last 5 or 6 years. That's why it's opened the door for Bayern to change the guard. Debates will still go on as to whether that has happened. But at the end of the season, Wolfsburg's arguments might not have as much weight behind them. Julia Kvinn! Looking for what would have been her first Frauen-Bundesliga goal of the season. But it's a missed chance that matters little. Because in the Meisterschale mix, Bayern München, the two-time defending champions, have just taken a mighty step towards defending their title for a third straight season. Pernille Harder, player of the match with 2 goals and an assist against her former club. She talked about being a player who plays for titles, and she might just have played a key role in helping Bayern secure the three-peat this season. 5 games to go. They've got a 6-point lead over Wolfsburg. Frankfurt still to play on match day 16. But here at the Bayern campus, the reigning title holders have triumphed against the record title holders. Final score, Bayern 3, Wolfsburg 1.